Hey everyone, it's King Size Customs here, and before we get going here, I gotta tell you, we don't finish this run, so don't be surprised that the video just seemingly cuts out. But in the meantime, you guys will have a track here to listen to as I go and grab our load. Alright guys, new truck. It's an international cab over. I don't have the model number or name for you. I have the make. Years unconfirmed. I want to say late 70s, early 80s, because that's when cab overs were big. Black and blue paint job done by me. My custom ID on graphics. We have a GPS, we have a traffic cam in there, and then we also have Pikachu in the co-pilot seat. So, how cool could that be, right? You know, if you guys are veterans of the channel, you remember there was a truck where there was a woman sitting next to me in the co-pilot seat. So, anyway, topic of this video is a time when I felt a little bit better about myself, when I was a little bit more confident. Now, there was a previous video, previous Truck and Talk, where I talked about being that kid in, not really kid, I was a man, I'm still a man. Being that guy in college who was just so, my world was so shaken that it seemed like any little thing would have me just worried sick, man. But let's go back to, oh goodness, about 2008, 2009. I was in 8th grade. I was all of about 14. Back then, I was more mature, I guess you could say. This was before I started collecting cars. This was way before I started YouTube. So back then was a funny time for me. I was in 8th grade. My school that I originally was at had closed down, and that was kindergarten through 8th grade. So, you know, new school. A few of my friends transferred to this new school that I was going to as well. And just at that time, I really didn't care. You know, I was thinking, well, it's my last year here. None of these people are going to go where I'm going, to high school, so what do I care? The world is my oyster. I'm young. I got, you know, the world on the string. So I pretty much felt like I could do whatever I wanted, and it wasn't really going to follow me. Oh, permanent record. That thing. Shit. You know, that was my response to a lot of things. You know, it would be, Mr. Creedon, you can't do that because that's on your permanent, that'll go on your permanent record. Nope, couldn't tell me that. New school, permanent record, my behind. So some of the things were, and I know anything about nostalgia, anything about memory is faulty. Trust me, I've had those conversations, discussions, what have you, in psychology classes, and that's why eyewitness testimony does not work a lot of times. But it was a different time. I was coming into my own. Some of the big things that were different for me were, again, because I didn't know anybody, I didn't really have to put in the effort or try to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. You know, our first dress down day at that school, which, for those of you who don't know, or anyway, I'll explain what a dress down day is. Basically, my school had school uniforms. So for guys, it would be khaki pants or shorts in the summer, dress shoes, and I think they even forced us to wear certain color socks. I was a bad boy anyway, so I mostly wore like black high socks or white high socks. Pretty much what I wear anymore. Dress shoes, of course. Funny thing, as I'm recording this video, I'm actually wearing the loafers from that year. I've fallen in love with my loafers. I used to hate them, but anyway, nope, different year, different loafers. The ones that I wore for that year were Dr. Scholl's shoes. I liked them because they looked a lot like boots, and I had them scuffed up so it looked like there were flames on my. It looked like they were detailed flames on my shoes. But anyway, so dress down day. Basically, you come and you wear something different from your uniform. You wear, your street clothes, your regular clothes. So at the time for me, it was still in kind of the warmer months here. So I want to say about September, like maybe end of September, early October. I come in and I'm wearing my Harley Davidson chain wallet, which at that time had a motorcycle, like a faux motorcycle chain, black t-shirt, my ripped jeans, and I wore my school shoes because I thought they looked like boots. They just made the clothes go so well, brought the whole outfit together. And that is when I learned I was different from most of these people. Everybody else was wearing like Abercrombie & Fitch, American Eagle, Aeropostale, or Hollister, which was kind of like the entry level into the designer area. Aeropostale was like the mid-level, and I'd say Abercrombie & Fitch was like the super ultimate supreme level of fashion and designer clothes. Which I now that I think about it, at the time when I was younger, yeah, there were a couple of days where I did care. But now that I think about it, no, I never really cared about buying designer clothes because they're just clothes. You're going to wear them. You're either going to A, grow out of them, or B, they're going to fall apart. These are people who are buying like $55 pairs of shorts, $85 t-shirts, where my t-shirt was free and my jeans only cost me $20. Woohoo! At school. So that was the one time when I noticed I was different from everyone. Well, not everyone. I mean, there were a few people who were kind of outcasts because their parents wouldn't buy them those clothes or they couldn't afford those clothes. My friend didn't wear those clothes. He wore something similar. I think he wore like more Hollister. But, me, I noticed I was different that day. And when I first came to the school, I noticed I was different in just some of the things. There's a story where a person actually asked me a derogatory question. Basically asked if I was gay, but in, using a derogatory term. And my whole thing was, so what if I am? And of course, you guys from knowing me here and actually hearing my voice, hearing how I speak into this microphone, I can get loud. So I got so loud to the point where it actually got the teacher's attention and embarrassed that person. And this was like either my first or second day of school, which, again, like I said, at that point, I really just didn't care. I was on top of my game. I didn't care how I looked. now I kind of do care a little bit more about how I look. I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to kick soda, but it's so hard, man. You know, you go and you can only drink water so much before you start losing flavor. You know, you start chasing this feeling, this taste of Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, because that's mostly what I drink. And then, you know, I'm drinking more water. I exercise more now, but back then I didn't. You know, the only exercise I got was in gym class, which was really one day a week. So that's that. But it was just the thing I really noticed of reflecting back then versus now was I have a lot more confidence. I really didn't care as much. Maybe it was my childish naivete, but also too, the other thing is that was kind of my teenage years. You know, there wasn't really there wasn't an expectation of you gotta go and do this. You know, you gotta worry about the decisions you make now because they will affect you later in the future. Now, I mean, to a point, yeah, there was some of that, but not as much as I have now. You know, I gotta be careful of what I say. I gotta be careful of what I do. I gotta be careful of what pictures I post on Instagram, on Facebook. And that's just, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It was just, there was a different time when I felt like I had more freedom, even though, well, I had more freedom, but I also had less responsibilities. Now it's probably the inverse. I have more responsibilities, but I also do have more freedom. Again, with that freedom and just not even independence, that's a different word, but with that freedom, there's more responsibilities now. You know, I can't really post a lot of things I and say, you know, even if I post certain things that I find upsetting, I can't really post them because people will attach that post to me and not the message I'm trying to get across. And that's why in the trucking talks they've kind of changed. But going back, another thing was I really got people out of their shells when I was younger. You know, my friends that I had were some of the quietest people that you would ever meet. Didn't really talk to many people, weren't really outspoken. And then I come along and I'm just, you know, a bundle of fun. I'm shooting rainbows out of my forehead. Well, okay, get that imagery out of your mind, but, you know, I'm just a very loud, very boisterous, very jovial guy. And then I end up talking to my friend, and I noticed, again, this was the either first or second day, and I got told that, oh, well, you know, he's weird, or, oh, yeah, he doesn't talk to many people. And it wasn't that, it was just people didn't give him a chance. So I get to talking to him, and, you know, I started befriending this guy to the point where, you know, I missed a day or two of school, and he actually asked, hey, where were you? What happened? I missed you. You know, things like that. Which I had never had that happen to me before, but anyway, you know, it was good to have that experience. It was just different. I mean, in college, you know, there was only maybe one or two people who would notice I'm going but never say anything about it. I don't have these quote-unquote lifelong friends from college. Now, I have one from high school that he and I still hook up every once in a while. Well, not once in a while. He and I still talk to each other, hang out, do some stuff, go do some shopping. It's mostly what we do, or we'll go hit a restaurant every once in a while. But it's mostly because, you know, it's when when either he's flush and he'll cover me, or I'm flush and I'll cover him, or when we both got money. So, but anyway, you know, it's just, it was a different time for me. I didn't really have to worry about getting a job like I do now, which it's not really a worry. It's more of, I gotta do something. It's not like, oh, don't worry about it, Kevin will carry you. No, and I don't want to be treated like that. You know, I don't like being carried through life. You know, like I said, it really just boiled down to my childhood naivete. You know, you're 14 years old, you think you know everything, And then as you get older, you start realizing that there is a whole world outside you. Which is funny, man. I mean, I had a teacher in high school say, it is when I went to college that I realized I don't know things. There is a lot that I do not know. And I feel that as I watch different videos on different topics on YouTube, that statement is becoming a lot more apparent. Like even today, as I'm doing the voiceover narration for this, there are people who I was at a meeting and there's a person who said, well, I'm not qualified to speak on that topic. So, which I thought was very interesting, and it's funny to hear a lot of people say that. Maybe when I was younger, I just didn't hear that a lot, or we weren't delving deep into topics. But it was really, high school was the first time I ever heard that. You know, elementary school, 8th grade, middle school, whatever you want to call it. I just called it 8th grade. It was, you would ask a teacher a question, and they would give you an answer immediately, which I thought was, as a kid, you know, I thought it was pretty good. However, again, due to where I was educated, there were a lot of things that were hypocritical, and as I'm older now, I'm a little bit more relaxed about it. I still get jacked up about it, though. There's a lot of hypocrisy there. But there were certain things they would tell me about how to live that, yeah, you know, weren't going to work with me. One of the biggest things. So as many of you seen through some of my little vlogs where I'm actually facing the camera, you notice there is a hoop earring in my left ear. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. You know, my brothers known me since I was young and was actually with me when I went to get the ear piercing. And half the time he forgets I had, like when I pull the earring out of my ear, he's like, where'd your earring go? You know, it's one of those things where it looks so natural for some reason in my ear. But, so 8th grade, I had a homeroom teacher. She taught most subjects, I mean. And then there was a math teacher and English teacher. She was science, religion, social studies, and then English and math were taught, and then Spanish as well were taught. And then the little different electives, you know, the art class, the library class, the computer class, all that fun stuff from the mid-2000s were taught by different teachers. So I go in, and I had just had my ear pierced the weekend before. And my principal of the school actually saw it. Another teacher who I didn't really have contact with because she taught lower grades saw it. They liked it. There was one teacher who was like, you know, I would never let my son do it, but you're not my son, so. And then also the receptionist thought it looked really nice too. And then, you know, 2 weeks go down the road. We have to go to church. And I'm sitting on the outside of the pew because A, I'm one of the biggest guys, and B, I always got in the back of the line because I was the slowest guy anyway. I walk too fast. So I'm kneeling in church, and the way the light hit that little diamond stud, it just flicked off, and she saw it. And next thing I know, I got told, I better not see that on Monday when I come in. And I was like, at the time, I didn't really say anything. That moment, church, I didn't take the earring out either. I left it in because she said when I come. You know, I'm thinking when she comes back in, when we come back on Monday. So I go home. I tell my mom. Of course, I'm upset, and she's like, "Well, hey, now, you said that it was in your school code of conduct and dress code that you were allowed to have an earring. Are you lying to me, and now you want me to kind of back you up?" And I'm like, "No, Mom, look." And so my mom brings up the dress code up on the computer, and it says, each student may have one watch, one piece of religious necklace, which I broke that. I would wear like 3 chains, one set of post earrings. Well, I didn't have a set. I just had one earring. So my mom emails the teacher, emails the principal, and then we go from there. Principal shoots back an email saying, well, Miss Creedon, we will revise the dress code after your son graduates, but it does say your son can have, each student may have a set of post earrings. He just has the one. I don't see what's wrong, and quite frankly, I think it looks very good on him. So that's how I got that. And then from then on, me and that teacher, I kind of noticed this thing started happening with that teacher. I won't give her name, but she was just a little power crazed. And going back to what I mean by power crazed was, so the friend that I have that nobody really stuck up for, which I understand this makes me sound really good or like I have a hero complex, but please don't take it like that. That's not how it is. So my friend was not the best with the organization, neither am I. I mean, I got papers from high school still sitting in different copybooks. If I hadn't thrown most of my copybooks away from high school, I probably have a lot more. But so he wasn't the neatest nor the tidiest guy. This teacher took valuable time, about 10 minutes, out of class to correct him on his organization, meanwhile embarrassing him in front of the entire class. So I look over to this other guy who probably was going to rat me out anyway, and I go, and I said something that I will not repeat, but I was young, I was wrong. I said, this teacher, this person. Nobody said anything, and of course, I said it loud enough so people could hear me. Nobody ratted me out, nobody said anything. The teacher stood up, turned around, and said, all right, who said that? I didn't say, nobody said anything. From then on, it was just, I'm going to cruise right through, get what I need to get done, graduate, get away from this person. So, high school, freshman year, I go back to go see and go visit. And first thing I say to that teacher is, hey, remember me? I was your worst student. She didn't say anything. She had nothing but nice things to say. So I guess I left a good impression on that teacher, or she was just so power crazy that now that she had no power over me, she had nothing but nice things to say. Now don't get me wrong. There is a need for authority, especially when you're young and you're like me, you feel almost invincible. But there's a fine line you walk where you're an authority figure over somebody else, and then you're taking all that power over a person. Nobody likes to be treated like they're a child, even though they may be, even though they're a teenager or maybe a child. But still, the whole taking valuable time out of my class to actually sit and ridicule this person on their organization, no. That's not going to work with me. That's not going to fly with me. And sorry about all the weird little things going on the screen, how there's mirrors popping up and my travelogue popping up. I forget what I was doing here. I think I was looking for I was looking for the bigger amplified version of the travelogue. That way I could kind of see where I'm going, because I believe we're in Arizona or New Mexico, and I think it's New Mexico, honestly. And their whole intersections, clover leaves, highway system throws me off sometimes. So, but that was really all, that was really that. I had my trouble, I rose, I got out of my trouble. I don't like how that sounds. I had my struggles, I had my little butting of heads with students, that teacher here. And then the funny thing is, the math teacher, I was never good at math. The math teacher followed me from the other school. He came over from the other school. He and I, we were like, not really friends, but it was kind of like a mentor type relationship. He really did like me. So, he really was a good person. He never really said it. I'm not sure if he noticed my earring, but he never said anything. That was just the biggest thing. Although I think the other thing was I didn't really give into this whole materialistic, superficial, my parents do this, and my mom or dad works here, drives this. No, I wasn't into all that. Or we live in such and such a neighborhood, or we went to this restaurant. No, I live in Claymont, and my mom makes me dinner. I eat with my grandparents. At that time, I was actually walking to my grandparents' house because my mom was coming home from work to take care of my grandmother, as she did for so many more years. But it was just, I don't know. Now, the funny thing is, I was watching a show recently, and I know I go on tangents. This one fits in. I was watching a show recently called Tales from the Tour Bus. Well, Mike Judge's Tales from the Tour Bus. It was the Bootsy Collins episode. And Bootsy Collins talked, at the end, he said, you just got to find your one. Now, in music, I know my musician viewers here know what I'm talking about with the one. But he was talking about how he went through all this stuff, nearly lost himself, and then he's got to come back to the one of who he was. What that means is in music is you always come back to the starting point, the first note of the song. In life, you always come back to that time when you were happy, and you do what makes you happy. Now, I know cynics like me will have something to come up with and say, well, I can't do that because, I can't go ride in the little quarter car that is outside of my supermarket because A, I don't fit, and B, they removed the supermarket. But basically, it's getting back to who you were. Now, back then, what I did was I listened to a lot of music. I still felt like an outsider half the time. You know what my one is? Weirdly enough, my one is making these videos, customizing cars. It's just things that make my brain turn off. Like, when I'm sitting in here and I'm driving, I'm listening to music or a podcast, but it's just background noise. The shifting, the transmission, the steering, it all just comes second nature to me. And I know you guys see, car accident hits. It's a couple of times when I'm trying to focus too hard. If I just let go and drive, it all becomes second nature. So I want to say that pretty much driving these semis and customizing the little Hot Wheels cars are my one. That's the thing that gives me a little bit of joy. Not saying that my life is totally terrible and that, I need constant joy and gratification, but it's a little something that just turns my mind off. So, anyway, we're getting ready to the point where I just quit because I know I'm totally out of my way and I can't make the delivery. So I'm going to leave it there. One final note, though. For all my friends, I know this is coming out a week before Christmas. I just want to say happy holidays. I would say happy Hanukkah, but I don't know when that is. I don't know when any of the other holidays are. It's just because I wasn't raised with those traditions. I would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, happy holidays, guys. Later.